In 2004, a man walked free from a murder conviction. Not because he was innocent, but because his attorney, the person sworn to seek justice, deliberately hid evidence that could have saved an innocent life. What I'm about to tell you sounds impossible in a country that promises justice for all. But this is the true story of Ken Anderson, a prosecutor who destroyed lives to build his career. And he almost got away with it. Let me take you back to 1986. Williamson County, Texas. A quiet place where everyone knew everyone. The kind of town where people didn't lock their doors. Michael Morton was living the American dream. He was 32 years old, married to his high school sweetheart Christine. And they had a beautiful 3-year-old son named Eric. Michael worked as a manager at a local grocery store. Nothing fancy, but he provided for his family. August 12, 1986, started like any normal day. It was Christine's birthday. Michael had to work late that night, which frustrated Christine. She wanted to celebrate. When Michael came home around 10 p.m. with a present, Christine was already upset. They had a small argument, the kind every married couple has, and went to bed. The next morning, Michael woke up at 5:30 a.m., just like always. He got dressed for work in the dark, trying not to wake Christine. He kissed her forehead. She was still asleep. Their son Eric was asleep too. Michael left for work, expecting to come home that evening to his normal life. But nothing would ever be normal again. When Michael's mother arrived at the house later that morning to check on Christine, she found something horrifying. Christine was dead in their bed, beaten to death with a blunt object. Eric was alive, wandering the house alone, traumatized. At work, Michael got the phone call every spouse dreads. His wife was gone. His son had witnessed something terrible. And within hours, Michael Morton went from grieving husband to the prime suspect in his wife's murder. Then Ken Anderson entered. He was the Williamson County District Attorney, ambitious, aggressive, and building a reputation as someone who always got convictions. This case would be his ticket to bigger things. From day one, Anderson focused entirely on Michael Morton. In his mind, the case was simple. Husband and wife fight. Husband kills wife. Husband goes to work to create an alibi. Case closed. But here's where everything goes wrong. Because Ken Anderson didn't just build a case against Michael Morton. He built a false case. And he did it by hiding evidence that pointed to Michael's innocence. Let me tell you what Anderson knew but never told the jury. The day after Christine's murder, someone used her credit card at a store in San Antonio, 45 minutes away. Michael was at work when this happened. Security footage would have shown who used that card. But Anderson never investigated it. He never told the defense about it. Why? Because it suggested someone else killed Christine and stole her card. Remember Eric, the 3-year-old son who was in the house during the murder? Sheriff's deputies interviewed him multiple times. Eric told them repeatedly that a monster came into the house after his daddy left for work. He described a man with a mustache. Michael Morton didn't have a mustache. These statements were written down in police reports. Ken Anderson had these reports. And he never gave them to Michael's defense attorney. In fact, when the defense specifically asked if there were any statements from Eric, Anderson said no. He lied to the court. After the murder, a neighbor found a blue bandana near the Morton home. It had what appeared to be blood on it. This bandana could have been tested for DNA. It could have been investigated. But Anderson didn't think it was important. Or more likely, he didn't want to know what it would reveal. That bandana sat in evidence for 25 years. During the trial in 1987, Ken Anderson painted Michael as a violent husband who killed his wife in a rage. He had no physical evidence. No murder weapon. No blood on Michael's clothes. No witnesses. But he had something else. He told the jury that Michael's behavior wasn't normal for a grieving husband. He said Michael didn't cry enough. Didn't act devastated enough. He made Michael's shock and numbness look like guilt. The defense didn't have the credit card records. They didn't have Eric's statements about the monster. They didn't know about the bandana. They were fighting blindfolded. The jury deliberated for just a few hours. Guilty. Life in prison. Michael Morton was sent to prison for a murder he didn't commit. His son Eric, who had already lost his mother, now lost his father too. Eric went to live with Christine's family members who believed Michael was a murderer. Eric grew up believing his father killed his mother. And Ken Anderson? He became a judge. His career flourished. He was respected in the community. He sent a man to prison and built his success on that conviction. Michael Morton spent every single day in prison knowing he was innocent. Imagine that. Waking up every morning behind bars for something you didn't do. Knowing your son thinks you're a monster. Having no way to prove the truth. He wrote letters to Eric for years. Eric never received them. Christine's family threw them away. Michael filed appeal after appeal. Every single one was denied. The system said the case was closed. Justice had been served. Move on. But Michael couldn't move on. And then, in 2005, something happened. An organization called the Innocence Project took on Michael's case. They're a non-profit that uses DNA evidence to prove wrongful convictions. They asked for one thing: test a bandana that was found near the Morton home in 1986. The Williamson County District Attorney's Office fought this request. For years, they argued that testing wasn't necessary. The case was solved. Why reopen it? Think about that. An innocent man is begging to test evidence, and the prosecutors are saying no. Finally, in 2011, 25 years after Christine's murder, a judge ordered the DNA testing. The results came back. The blood on the bandana wasn't Christine's. It wasn't Michael's. It belonged to an unknown male. And when they ran that DNA through the criminal database, they got a match. Mark Allen Norwood, a convicted felon with a history of violent crimes against women. In 1986, he lived in a trailer park near the Morton home. He had a mustache, just like Eric described. And here's the horrifying part. After Christine's murder, Mark Norwood went on to murder another woman in 1988 in a nearly identical way. That woman's name was Deborah Baker. She was beaten to death in her home, just like Christine. If Ken Anderson had done his job in 1986, Deborah Baker might still be alive. If he had investigated the bandana, tested the evidence, shared Eric's statements, Mark Norwood would have been caught. Instead, Anderson hid evidence, got his conviction, and a serial killer remained free to kill again. On October 4, 2011, Michael Morton walked out of prison. He had served 25 years for a crime he didn't commit. He was 57 years old. He had missed Eric's entire childhood, his teenage years, his young adulthood. When Michael hugged Eric for the first time as a free man, Eric was 28 years old. An entire lifetime had been stolen. But this story doesn't end there. Because now people started asking questions. How did this happen? Who was responsible? A special court of inquiry was launched to investigate Ken Anderson's conduct during the original trial. And what they found was shocking even to legal experts. Ken Anderson had systematically hidden evidence. He had lied to the court. He had violated Michael's constitutional rights. And he had done it all to win a conviction, to boost his career. The court found that Anderson committed prosecutorial misconduct. Not a mistake. Not an oversight. Deliberate misconduct. In 2013, Ken Anderson, now a district judge, was charged with contempt of court. He was disbarred, meaning he could never practice law again. And in an almost unheard of moment, this former judge spent 10 days in jail. 10 days. For stealing 25 years of an innocent man's life. During his sentencing, Anderson was forced to apologize to Michael Morton. He stood there in the same courthouse where he had once wielded so much power, and he said he was sorry. But sorry doesn't give Michael back those 25 years. Sorry doesn't bring Deborah Baker back to life. Sorry doesn't erase the trauma Eric suffered, growing up believing his father was a murderer. Here's what should terrify you about this story. Michael Morton is not unique. Since 1989, over 3,000 people in the United States have been exonerated for crimes they didn't commit. That's 3,000 innocent people who went to prison because the system failed them. The National Registry of Exonerations found that official misconduct, which includes prosecutors hiding evidence, played a role in 54% of wrongful convictions. That means in more than half of wrongful conviction cases, someone in power did something wrong. And here's the most disturbing part. Prosecutors have something called absolute immunity. This means they usually can't be sued or held financially responsible for misconduct, even when they destroy innocent lives. Ken Anderson spent 10 days in jail. That's extremely rare. Most prosecutors who hide evidence face no punishment at all. Michael Morton is one of the lucky ones, if you can call it that. He eventually rebuilt a relationship with his son Eric. He remarried. He wrote a book called Getting Life, about his experience. And he became an advocate for criminal justice reform. In 2013, Texas passed the Michael Morton Act. This law requires prosecutors to share all evidence with the defense, not just evidence they think is relevant. It's designed to prevent what happened to Michael from happening again. But Texas is just one state. This law doesn't exist everywhere. Right now, in courtrooms across America, prosecutors have evidence that could prove someone's innocence, and they're not required to share it. The attorney who hid evidence to win cases didn't just destroy Michael Morton's life. He broke the most fundamental promise of our justice system, that the truth matters more than winning. Ken Anderson chose his career over justice. He chose convictions over truth. And he did it knowing an innocent man would spend his life in prison. This story should make you angry. It should make you question how many other Michael Mortons are sitting in prison right now, who are innocent, while evidence that could free them sits in a file somewhere, hidden by someone who cared more about their win record than the truth. Justice isn't just about punishing the guilty. It's about protecting the innocent. And when prosecutors hide evidence, they betray everyone, the victims, the innocent, and the entire system we're supposed to trust. Michael Morton lost 25 years. Deborah Baker lost her life. Eric Morton lost his childhood. And it all happened because one attorney decided that winning was more important than truth. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., don't be silent about injustice. Share this story. Demand accountability. Because the next Michael Morton could be someone you know. If this story opened your eyes to prosecutorial misconduct, you need to see what happened when an entire police department fabricated evidence for decades. Watch that story next. And hit the subscribe button. We're exposing the cases they don't want you to know about.